Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price has landed in hot water over ethical questions involving his use of private jets paid for by American taxpayers to travel to various locations where he owns private property, knows people that he has personal relationships with, but also goes to for official business. So he's mixing personal reasons and business reasons for his travel. And there are people who are criticizing him because it has cost US taxpayers quite a bit of money. He could have used commercial planes, he could have used trains, he could have used all sorts of means of transportation that would have been considerably less. But instead he decided to spend $300,000 in taxpayer money in order to use these private jets to travel to various locations. Now, Donald Trump was asked his opinion about this. What do you think about Tom Price using these private jets? Do you think you might fire him? Well, here's what he had to say.
Tom Price spent a lot of money on that charter plane. Is that cool?
I was looking into it, and I will look into it, and I will tell you personally, I'm not happy about it. I am not happy about it.
What are you going to do about it, Mr. President?
I'm going to look at it. I am not happy about it, and I let him know it.
Okay, he's not happy about it, and possibly firing him is on the table. So right now, the media is kind of freaking out. They're like, oh, Trump might fire Tom Price over this private jet issue. I see it as a different situation. I see his, his possibility of firing him related to something completely different. But what do you guys think?
Well, I think that Tom Price has been a letdown and that he hasn't been able to influence. Trump brought in a lot of these former congressional and current congressional who left the House members of Congress to come in to be part of his administration so as to be a bridge to Congress. And everything that this White House has tried to do, everything they've tried to do has failed in Congress.
That's right.
So I think he's pissed at his vice president. I think he's pissed at Tom Price. I think he's pissed at Mick Mulvaney. I think there are others as well. And I do think that this is the kind of thing that if he thinks that he can look better by getting rid of Tom Price, he will waste no time getting rid of Tom Price. So, but I don't think it's just about the planes. I don't think.
Right. I think the planes might be used as a scapegoat.
But this is the swamp thing.
But it's also, I mean, Tom Price is a terrible guy. He was a terrible guy before he got on private jets. This is as it is at the Department of the Interior, as it is at the Department of Education. He has named people to these posts who don't believe in the organization they're running. Tom Price is not interested in this stuff. Tom Price is another one who wants to squeeze the life out of government, right? If you told that Tom Price that, hey, we're thinking of getting rid of the Health and Human Services Department. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen a quote. I suspect Tom Price would be great.
Yeah.
Terrific. Good idea.
Yeah. Look, Tom Price, in my opinion, is the perfect symbol of what he claims he hates about government, right? Mismanagement of money, wasteful behavior, wasteful spending.
I mean, Tom Price said it to Congress.
Yeah.
He said it
about
flying, about Hillary Clinton flying in government planes when she was she Secretary of State at that point? I think so. And he got upset about that. And
she was a Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Like we know they travel all the time. So this guy was flying to his house in St. Simon's Island.
Don't just take our word for it.
And to have lunch with his son.
Yeah, don't take our word for it though, because we have that video for you. Yeah. Let's go to video 5. Tom Price in 2009 complaining about government officials using private jets.
At the worst time in modern history in our economy, Congress decides to spend $550 million on private jets for themselves.
This is just another example of fiscal irresponsibility run amok in Congress right now. Dennis, Joe acts like they don't have any planes right now. They got 24 of them right now. No need for 4 more. My goodness gracious, especially in this time of fiscal crisis that we have. What we need to be doing is cutting it to zero. I hope that the Congress will come back and do that when we get back there in September.
My bad. It was Nancy Pelosi, I guess, when she was Speaker, not Secretary Clinton. So, but the point was clear.
Right, and also keep in mind that yes, there have been other government officials who have used private jets for travel, and that might upset American citizens or taxpayers. But he takes that issue and essentially puts it on steroids because again, he has used these jets for what he calls official business, but in reality, he keeps traveling to places where he has his private property. He visits friends and family members in these states, and so he's mixing business with pleasure. And the official business that he's talking about is speeches to pharmaceutical companies. So just keep all of that in mind. Now, I want to get to what I think.
And there were alternatives. You fly through. I got news for you. I fly to Atlanta all the time. You take a Delta flight to Atlanta and you catch a connection. It's doable.
If you're in Washington, you can be in Philadelphia in a car in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, Price's people said they'd taken so many very lengthy car rides of over 5 hours. I'd love to see those cataloged. I'd love to know when he did that. He's the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He is going to speak to pharmaceutical groups. He's going to speak to insurers. He's going to do that.
Now, that said, spending 5 hours in a car with Tom Price sounds pretty miserable.
Well, his poor son had to have lunch with the guy.
Trump has threatened Tom Price's job before. He did it in a joking manner, but I think it's relevant to this conversation. Now, if you can recall, Trump gave a speech to the Boy Scouts. That was a controversial speech, to say the least. But during that speech, he talked about the repeal efforts for the Affordable Care Act, and he pointed a finger at Tom Price specifically. Let's take a look.
By the way, you going to get the votes? He better get them. He better get them. Oh, he better. Otherwise, I'll say, Tom, you're fired. I'll get somebody.
Foreshadowing? I don't know. Maybe.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Funny guy.
He's very funny. A great sense of humor.
TYT membership gets you commercial-free Young Turks. Download it, stream it, podcast it, get all the network shows, and support independent media. TYTnetwork.com/join.